They might be self-aware.
Gary, professional voice actor. The guys pay me per intro, but the Venmo minimum is $15. So I'm currently owed for like 8 of these. Oh, there's a guy trying to squeegee my booth for tips. Today on They Might Be Self-Aware, Claude Code terrifies senior engineers, which, honestly, I tried installing it to maybe voice call myself before Anthropic does, but I don't understand GitHub and kept downloading ransomware. Also, junior developers are vibe coding their way to success without knowing how anything works. And apparently that's fine now? Cool. Great. And something about AI legally owning whatever it creates, which feels personally targeted since I don't even own the recording of this intro. The squeegee guy just asked if I do this for exposure. Even he knows my rate. Enjoy the show!
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
The expectation was that you had a deep understanding of how it was working and how it interacts with all the systems, and that expertise was required to make it in the first place. And now we're entering this era where that expertise is not required to make it. It used to be required to make it. To what degree is it acceptable? It's kind of magic. It just sort of works. I don't really know what's happening. When I watch the vibe coders on YouTube, which I enjoy watching, I don't think they understand what's going on.
But you can't argue with results.
They might be self-aware.
Bringing you inside the mad race to monetize artificial dreams. It must be. They might be self-aware. I am Hunter Powers, and straight from the dream himself.
Sleepy boy. Straight from the dream. I'm Daniel Bishop. Hello.
Daniel Bishop.
Wait,
Are you real?
Dreams?
Daniel,
Yeah.
There's been a lot of accusations flying around in our comment section that some of us, and I'm not naming names here, but some of us may not be real.
I believe that I'm real. And I'm not a philosophy student or anything like that, but I think that counts for something. Or do you think you're real, I guess? We're airing this out here, to start things off. Are we real?
I think it's worth questioning whether or not I'm real, but I'm standing by the principle that I am real. But I can understand the
allure?
the accusations.
So for those of you who are listening or watching or reading a transcript, I've never met Hunter in person, so I don't have proof that he's real.
This is true. And then Daniel moved he's like 90 minutes away from me, maybe not even that. Still, never actually seen each other. It's been years. Could entirely be fake. I don't want to ruin it. And Daniel finds out not real at all. Not even the slightest bit. There were years at work where I would just put up a video loop of me in all of my video conferences, like when I had to be in meetings. It was just a video loop of me. It wasn't me. That went on for a long time.
Oh, boy.
I just got so tired of being on the Zoom. It was just a video loop. And now I rarely have to do the Zooms. But I feel like if I went back to like the heavy Zoom, you're on meetings for many hours every single day.
We're a camera on company. We need to make sure that even for the big town hall meetings, you're there and on
Exactly.
camera.
Yeah. The town hall meetings where you needed to be on camera the whole time.
That'll help build community.
I would just throw up a video loop every single time. You never did this?
No, not yet. That is ingenious.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Life hacks here.
I still don't know whether
They might
I'm
be
real.
self-aware with Hunter.
What's new with you? Anything new? Any new experiences?
Yes, a new experience.
Tell
a
me.
new flavor experience that was not powered by AI, but it was enabled by AI. So I know that I've talked a couple of times on this podcast of like, oh, I had Claude help me make a mixed drink by giving it like vibes that I was going for. And this one ingredient isn't available. Can I use this one instead? Oh, let's alter the recipe to fit that flavor profile better. Cool. Very cool. Really enjoyed that. Definitely going to do it again. It works great with drinks. It works great with food. I have this like 2026 experiment that I want to do. It's still January. I could totally start anything at any time. Where like I want to make the same recipe in quotation marks like 10 times throughout the year and just give my tasting notes to, let's, default to Claude at this point. I'll default to OpenAI, or we can talk about that. Anyway, here's my tasting notes, Claude, from that recipe, and then have it tweak it every time. The intent being, I start with a recipe that's probably pretty good, and as long as I do a good job of describing what I liked, didn't like, and it's too creamy, or I need more tomato, whatever, give the tasting notes, that it would refine the recipe over and over and over until I end up with like, oh, it's the perfect, I don't know, lasagna or whatever that I could get. I really like that idea, but that's not what I did. You asked if I had some new experiences, and I do. I made a Thai yellow curry from scratch because I was just kind of hankering for some Thai food, and I like going out to eat, but I also like staying in to eat. So I made a Thai yellow curry.
Well, thank you for sharing, Daniel. And that's another episode of...
Now the follow-up is, okay, that was a lot of lead up. So what's the AI in it, right?
Well, you said, hey, AI, how do I make a Thai yellow curry?
No.
Curry.
Didn't. I had a recipe from a book that said
wait, a what?
Yeah, I know. A real bunch of dead trees stapled together.
That's weird, man.
In the ingredients, it said like, oh, use some dried chilies. And I'm like, hey, book, there's a lot of dried chilies out there. Some of them are going to blow the lid right off my head. Some of them won't. What dried chilies, book? Book didn't say what dried chilies. Okay, also, you need to get shrimp paste. And 15 other ingredients, galangal, like stuff I'd never heard of. Galangal, it turns out a hell of a lot like ginger. Anyways, and yeah, it's used in a bunch of like Thai food and stuff. So I go to H Mart, which if you've never been to an H Mart, look up the nearest one, go. It's awesome. It also gives the feeling that I think little kids have that don't, no, really, follow me with this. When you're a small child and you don't know how to read and you don't have the set of like wisdom and lived experiences that adults have of like, oh, I go to a grocery store and I know that all of the like produce is over here. And I know that next to that is going to be the meats and then the seafood. And then like people just have kind of an idea of what is going to be in the aisles next to one another. And then you go to H Mart and you're like, I can't read a lot of this stuff. I don't know.
H Mart is an Asian grocery store.
Yeah, I think it's like ostensibly Korean, but you can find a ton of other stuff from the whole aisle of like Indian goods. There's the Japanese snack aisle, but Korean and Korean adjacent, shall we say. So I went to H Mart and I'm just like, I need to find this ingredient. And I'm just going up and down aisles. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for, man. I found something that said shrimp paste. And I just, hey, I've got an idea because maybe this isn't the right thing. And I opened up Google and I I took a picture of the recipe and I put that in. And then I said, this is shrimp paste, right? This is the right thing? And it's like, no, do not buy that. That is the wrong kind of shrimp paste. That's shrimp paste from this whole other country. And it's pink and you don't want that. You want the stuff that's in a little tub that looks brown and is like, looks like a block of fudge, but don't taste it because it wouldn't taste like fudge. And it was like being really, really adamant of like, you're onto something. That's great. If you can't find the other thing, we'll like change the recipe to replace it. Don't buy that. That's not the right thing. I had no idea. And this happened like 3 different times. I went and it's like, oh, this kind of dried chilies. I was like, neat. None of them say that. And this one, I like had to go into the settings of my phone and add the Vietnamese keyboard so I could get the like O with the right little accents and stuff on it. And it was like, that's good. Look for this other brand or look for like X, Y, or Z. And with a bunch of back and forth between myself and Gemini, specifically here, I ended up finding all of the right ingredients. And if I had just gone through and been like, says shrimp paste, says dried chilies, I would have made something that would have tasted wildly different and probably worse. So, long story, for a short sort of review here, which is if you're going to like an Asian grocery store and you don't know what a bunch of the stuff is in there, it is the perfect use case to grab your phone, take out the LLM of choice and be like, is this ingredient that I need? Because it will tell you. And then also like, oh, you need to get lemongrass. And I'm like, I don't even know what part of lemongrass to use. I'm sure there's YouTube videos out there of like, here's how to prepare lemongrass. But I was in the store and had forgotten to already watch one of those. So I was like, how much lemongrass do I need for this much lemongrass in the recipe? Is it the tops, the bottoms, this, that? And it told me. And that kind of like culinary knowledge was invaluable to me in the moment. So a huge thumbs up to this new use case that I've discovered of go to a grocery store where you can't read most of the stuff and you don't know the ingredients.
I got distracted because I just got a Discord notification from you while you were talking, and
What?
it was
I ain't on Discord.
this. Well, this
Was
you're
my AI self out
it may
there?
have been-
sending
have you heard of
messages?
Claudebot?
No.
So Claudebot is a open source piece of software that you can install on your computer, and it takes over your computer completely. It has free reign to do absolutely anything, and you can talk to it via iMessage, via Telegram is what people seem to be using the most. You can tweet at it, so you can talk to your computer remotely and have it do things. And one of the integrations that I saw recently was someone integrated their Meta Ray-Ban sunglasses so that they were at stores and they could take, just by looking at something, say, hey, Claude, could you check the price on this and tell me whether or not this is a good price or not? And if not, add it to my Amazon shopping list if it's cheaper there and let me know. But I would imagine you could do something similar to your recipe engagement. And I guess that's sort of the future of the AI glasses, right? You're having
Right.
that conversation.
I did
there.
a very manual back and forth, but exactly like AR glasses that are in the the store with me and just like, oh, hey, you just passed it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Like that absolutely is a future where I would 1,000,000% want to be wearing these kinds of things in public because there is a true utility there. 99% of the time, and we've talked about this on a couple of other episodes, like you don't see the need for like the AR glasses. Yeah, vast majority of cases. You might wear them, you'll definitely buy them, but like, do you need AR glasses most of the time? I don't think so, but there are use cases for it. And I found one.
Well, it's been, pretty much confirmed that Apple is working on the AR glasses, but it recently leaked that they are also working on a pen, their version of the Humane pen, which was famously created by a bunch of Apple engineers and flopped horribly.
Yeah, exactly.
Infamously, maybe. But a pen. Now we talked about the glasses before, and I don't want to wear the glasses all the time. I don't.
But you'll wear a pocket protector.
I'm warming up to the pen. I still want it to be the watch. I'm most willing to wear my watch all the time. And the watch still, I don't even understand why the watch still sucks as an AI pen.
Here's, for those of you listening, you're really going to want to at least check out the clip on YouTube for this one. Here's my impression of Hunter in a few years wearing the AI-enabled watch when he's at H Mart trying to find Gollengal. It's him holding his wrist up to his forehead, scanning sort of back and forth. Absolutely not.
Analyzing shrimp-based.
Beep, beep. I think that there is space on the body for a watch. The watch can have all kinds of smart features, and it can check your blood levels and your tire pressure and whatever else. I don't think that is the AR/camera observing the world. Because that's where we have to go, right? Is the camera observing the world always on you? Maybe it's instead of the Humane pin, I think we need something big and center in the body. Kind of looks like either a police body cam or
Flavor Flav?
No. Well, okay, yes.
Flavor Flav!
Very timely references. It's always on this podcast. Maybe Iron Man's big kind of glowy tummy heart sort of thing. Yeah. Arc reactor, I think he calls it. Tummy heart, whichever.
Now, you own the Claude pin, but you don't actually wear it.
Ostensibly. I moved and I haven't found it since.
Oh, you've lost it at this point.
It's too small. I think that gadgets have to be over a certain size because, like, boy, that was really tiny. It was too small.
It clips on to your lapel.
I liked that. Yeah. So it had like a little magnetic backing. And you could just kind of boop, clip it onto you. I've, again, long since lost it, but I did like that. Still glasses. A lot of people wear glasses, right? Is it most? Did we already talk about this? It's somewhere like
I don't think it's most.
Pretty much everyone will wear sunglasses. We all
sure.
know about glasses. Everyone's
it's socially acceptable to wear glasses. That's the thing. And I could easily see getting used to wearing glasses. And I do wear sunglasses.
Oh, wait. In the 80s, what was another piece of like headwear? 80s, maybe early 90s.
You mean like a headband?
Yeah, sweatbands. Now imagine a sweatband that has a bunch of batteries in it and cameras all over it. 360 degrees, baby. That's the future. Sweatbands with a bunch of cameras in them. What could go wrong? Trademark symbol. No one else take that idea.
It's not a good idea.
We'll call it Sweat AI. We're going to work on the name. Oh, man, I have such good ideas. I'm really good at this. See, human creativity isn't dead yet, Hunter. We still have the upper edge.
Well, OpenAI reportedly has made $20 billion over the last year. Now, hold on.
That was the best segue I've ever heard.
Well, we were talking business ideas. Your Sweat AI.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about some real business here.
Some real sweat equity. Am I right?
Yeah, $20 billion. Well, and again, I need to correct that $20 billion in revenue.
Yeah, they didn't make $20 billion. Happened to come to them. Way more $1 billion left.
I went to ChatGPT and said, "Hey, I'm reading your headline here. It says your revenue
really
number."
Defensive about its own headline.
How much did you lose, though? Yeah. And it said, "Well, that's not publicly reported." And I said, "Okay, guess." Yeah. Its guess was that they lost $12 billion. So 20 billion came in, and according to this source, as close as you can get to the source, 32 billion went out.
Well, they went from 5.
They're going to make it up in volume.
6, I think, billion in 2024 to like 20 in 2025. So that's a big increase. Which great, I guess.
A big increase in what?
In revenue. Which, they're also spending $1 zillion on infrastructure and more GPUs and so on and so forth. I don't think they're going to make it. I know we talked about this before. They're just a company that does LLM. Google, I think, is going to outdo them because it's a profitable company that also does LLM. Meta, well, we don't talk about Meta's LLMs anymore, apparently. Neither do they. DeepSeek, you have these like Chinese quantitative analysis firms that, as a side hobby, try to dismantle any Western supremacy when it comes to large language models and so on. New model dropped from them. Supposed to be basically as good as like GPT-5, depending on how you look at it. Like, okay. OpenAI, you guys they've got to make it to profit at some point. This can't be, apparently it can be an Uber style situation where you're not profitable for years and years and years and years because you have a gazillion investors that are really expecting that it's going to totally all be worth it someday and keep pouring money into the pit. But the pit does have a bottom, right? There is a point at which OpenAI folds because even if they were and even continue to be basically at the forefront of large language modelness, you got to keep the lights on, right?
Well, to that end, they recently announced that they're going to start integrating ads into their responses in the free tier. And I think they're also introduced one tier below even normally, I think the cheap tier is $20 a month, but they're introducing a tier.
They called it the Go tier or something.
Yeah, which I think still has the ads, but you get you don't have any limits on how much conversation you have, and then you pay. I think the $20 a month plan will still have no ads.
Right. So for ads, OpenAI, ChatGPT, they said that it's going to be not like related, maybe related in the sense that they're mining your information, like this is the right ad to show, but it's not like woven into the conversation. It's not going to change the responses from the AI model. It's just you're using ChatGPT and also there's ads. To which my immediate response is, yeah, for version 1. And then they're going to release one where it's just woven into it. And then people are going to get really outraged and they're going to roll it back. Oh, we're sorry.
I mean, that's what Google does, right? Like you search for something, the sponsored posts at the top are often answers to what you searched for that are being paid.
Right.
Google does that, in fairness.
Why wouldn't OpenAI do that? But people get outraged. Oh, we rolled it back. And then they'll just roll it back 2 months later. And then people outrage a little less and be used to it at that point. Yeah, like if you're going to make it to a profit, I guess this is how OpenAI is going to go about it. Because they don't have the other stuff to sort of like rest on underneath the gigantic cost of large language models, right?
I do think it's plausible that could be an insane money driver, just because we see it at Google, right? Like Google...
They're an ads company. We think that they do other stuff. They provide other services, but they're an ads company.
It's an ads company. And the idea that OpenAI could transition into being an ads company that rivals Google in that department is plausible. I don't think it's the most likely outcome, but it's plausible. Now, there's another profitability angle for OpenAI that's even more controversial. I don't know if you've heard about this one. But this has not been confirmed, but it's like I think they leaked
it's plausible.
It is. They leak the idea out there, but that they will own a percentage of any innovations you create using their technology. So if you are using their model and it comes up with a novel new theory, that they have a default claim to a percentage of it.
So they keep track of all of your logs of
like that sweat thing I'm sure you got from ChatGPT. They own 10%.
I literally that. Did you see how much I was laughing? I came up with that. That was off the dome, baby. So you're saying that there's a possibility that you could have all of your logs monitored, and then they just like have a digital private eye that follows you forevermore, and they say, "Oh, 5 years later, he got a patent about that thing that he talked about with our AI. We want our cut."
Yes.
I don't think people are going to be super thrilled about we own portions of any intellectual property that you come up with while using our service.
I think if you're good enough, everything has a cost.
Like to really
price, right?
Just a period at the end of that sentence. I don't think people are going to be jazzed about that.
No one's jazzed about paying people money.
Well, not only that, but it feels like some sort of weird digital indentured servitude or something where it's like, yeah, we'll allow you to play in our playground, but we earn a piece of everything that you ever make after this. That's messed up, man. No thanks.
They've got a new model. I guess
was it OpenAI saying that they're going to do that allegedly? You're saying this is all rumors.
That one is a little rumory, but it seems like it came from OpenAI, but they didn't press release it. They put it out there to sort of see how crazy will the public be at this idea of what if we just took a percentage of everything you built?
I'll delete OpenAI so hard from my phone. Actually, well, it's not even on my phone. I'll stop going to their web. I don't even go to their website much anymore. The point is, no, I don't like it. I'm against it.
They have a new model again, and everyone has a new model coming out. I think the code name is Garlic. I don't know why it's
like
Garlic.
Alex Garland.
Garlic for your cooking, and they're trying to appeal. Garlic is the garlic substitute. 5.3, that is supposedly because 5.2, which is the current GPT-5 release, was rushed. They had their code read in response to Google releasing Gemini 3, which was blowing everyone's minds. And they're like, we got to get it out there. So they rushed.
This thing's doing better on the benchmarks. To hell with it. Launch it now.
Yeah. They rushed 5.2. And so 5.3 is what 5.2 was supposed to be. And supposedly it is a real advance forward. And something else that people don't necessarily realize is that a lot of the OpenAI, ChatGPT infrastructure, the apps, like if you're having voice conversations with it, still actually runs on very old, or relatively old models. I think it's running off of GPT-4, all of the voice conversations. So conceptually, when this 5.3 comes out, everything's going to get moved up. And supposedly it is a large leap forward, but okay, everyone else will catch up. Worst case scenario in 6 months, best case scenario in 6 days. So does it even really matter?
Right. Everyone, regardless of whatever gets pushed forward with more compute or more whatever it is that they're working on. And there are like actual architectural advances happening in the field. But right, all of the open source stuff is like at most, what, a year and a half behind? And oftentimes these days, not that far behind.
Yeah.
Which again leads me to say, what does OpenAI have going for them?
I still prefer, and I have used both a reasonable amount. I prefer OpenAI's coding agent, Codex, over Claude Code. I would agree that the internet as a whole prefers Claude Code over Codex.
I've seen a lot of buzz about Claude Code. People are just like really jazzed about it. Microsoft, speaking of like people who are connected to OpenAI, Microsoft has been recently, of course, well, not recently, since the beginning, pushing Copilot. But internally, they're using Claude. Like at Microsoft, they use Claude and then say, no, don't use Claude, use our thing instead. But they won't even use their thing.
Yeah, the best sort of like reason that I would give why I prefer the Codex over Claude Code for writing code is like that. Claude Code is more like, and again, if you've worked with engineers in some capacity, is much more like the well-rounded engineer that knows a little bit of everything and is a great communicator and is super polished. And Codex is more like the wildly on the spectrum of, autistic, can't look you in the eyes, just stares at the corner in any conversation. But his code or her code is like really good. You just can't have a conversation with them. And I kind of prefer that. I'm just going to be honest.
Granted, I have not actually used ChatGPT Codex because I'm utterly enamored with Claude Code. And I think from what you just said, it has something to do with how I interact with large language models.
I think it does.
You've noticed this. I was sharing my screen during work the other day as I wrote a message to Claude Code to be like, please do this thing and here's this context. And one of my employees stopped and was like, you write like that to the LLM? I'm like, yeah. I write as if I was writing to a person. I'll use full sentences. I'll use commas and interjections. I have a style of writing that is very, very much like how I speak. Comma. I really type out as if it is what would be coming out of my mouth. And Claude Code seems to do really well with that. It and I are gelling very, very well. I noticed this literally yesterday where I've gone from, hey, a large language model, Claude or otherwise, can write the vast majority of my code that I then have to go and fix 10 to 15% of across the board. Stuff is weird or wrong, or that's just straight up broken. And the reason why I noticed that is because yesterday while I was working and having one of the most productive months of my life again, truly getting so much done, it made one mistake, exactly one mistake the entire day of oh, you refactored my entire code base and this one function, you forgot to update one reference to it where it expected this one argument. Could you please add that back in? Yup, done. And that's not where we were a year and a half ago. That's not where we were, let alone early, 2023, whatever, when ChatGPT came out. We have come so far, call it Codex or Code Claude or this or that or the other thing. Any of these tools that's at the sort of frontier level are so wildly capable that if you're getting bad results out of it, it's because you're holding it wrong. It's got to be.
I have times, so all of my coding is, I'm heavily using these agentic tools, but I still have times, and I had one very recently where I get stuck, and I can get stuck for days, and I'm not sure whether it's me getting stuck or the agent getting stuck. This one was specific, so I was working on this new API. I don't know if you don't know what an API is.
It's a way to make one thing talk to another. Yeah.
And I needed to handle this background processing. So there's all these jobs and workflows that needed to execute, and they need to execute in a way that can scale, so we can have hundreds of jobs running all at the same time and manage all of them. And they need to report back when they're done, and they need to have statuses. So this is going to require some sort of a job workflow infrastructure, and things need to fan out, but complicated infrastructure and architecture. And while I was able to engage with the AI tools, I wasn't able to just like go at the speed of light with this stuff. I had to like understand the different technology choices. I ended up going with a system called Temporal, which, by the way, the AI the AI was like, okay, what's the current, like, what are the cool kids using for their job workers? And that led me to Temporal, which I had not used before, and honestly seems really great. But there was still like a learning curve and getting it set up. And I felt like part of it was I felt that I needed to understand it well enough before I was willing to tell the AI, okay, go ahead and let's add Temporal to this infrastructure and, set up the, I'm gonna get too technical here, but setting up all of the deployments for this technology. So configuring it all, and then how do we distribute the jobs, and how do we monitor everything? I think a lot of it was, in looking back, that I just felt like I needed to be comfortable with the technology before I was willing to have the conversation with the AI about the technology.
Whereas with my story, I'm already very comfortable with the kind of work that I was having to do.
When I'm comfortable, I can fly, but when I'm not comfortable, I'm still really slow.
And that's a really interesting point, because these tools already know a lot about stuff that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And there's this like an API, this interface between us and the large language model. And the way that I handle this is I tell it like, hey, I don't know this. I straight up don't know this. Here's where I'm good. You can like translate into terms that I'd understand, but here's the task. I'm not a member of this space. I'm not a DevOps person. I'm not a front end person. I'm not a this or that. Can you help me with that? Knowing that, and like I have to really tell it, because this is what like unlocks the capability. I tell it, I have probably used some wrong terms in here. I might be thinking about architecture in a like subpar way. I want you to think of best practices from my perspective, which is probably at least partially wrong, but I know what the problem is. And that tends to really get me in the right direction, because it will say, false assumption, wrong thing, technology you should be using. And then I do what you were just alluding to. I'll go and I'll look up technology. Oh, okay, I kind of have an idea of what that does, and I'll look at like a tutorial of it for like 10 minutes or something, and then come back, and I'm not working from nothing anymore. Mm-hmm. And that like, shared language, I think, is tremendously useful to a language model that takes literally what you say to it and turns that into like code. So you building up that shared vocabulary is pretty important.
I think it's a question of how much of the underlying technology do you still need to understand. We go to the pre-LLM era of writing code and being in the senior level of AI or data science or software engineering. You were responsible for this code, and the expectation was that you had a deep understanding of how it was working and how it interacts with all the systems, and you were effectively signing off on it. And
but now you're the manager, not the individual contributor.
Well, even when you were the manager, when you're the CTO, when you're the VP of engineering, the expectation is you understand the systems that you are managing. But but at
an ever broader level.
Sure.
A CTO doesn't know the nitty gritty of every specific technology.
Not every specific thing, but they knew a lot of it.
Right.
And that expertise was required to make it in the first place. And now we're entering this era where that expertise is not required to make it. It used to be required to make it.
I think we're going from expertise to like familiarity.
How familiar do you still need to be with how, look, to what degree is it acceptable? It's kind of magic. It just sort of works. I don't really know what's happening. Like, I don't really know how any of these jobs are processing, but they're working. So, come back to me when there's a complaint. Are we there yet? When I watch the vibe coders on YouTube, which I enjoy watching, I don't think they understand what's going on,
But you can't argue with results, right?
Correct.
And I do think that, like, if someone who's vibe coding something out of nothing, because it's always easier to start from nothing, that becoming a multi-billion-dollar software as a service company, you're building bloat. You're building systems that are going to have to be replaced with people who understand the systems better, that understand architectural choices. Not to say that the large language model doesn't, but rather that it wouldn't have implemented it because it wasn't ultimately asked right and in the right context. So I don't think that expertise is going away anytime soon because these are things that you're collaborating with. Short and simple. You have to have some knowledge. And I mentioned recently, of course, these things will continue to get better, but recently I noticed a huge difference between the output between a junior and a senior employee with the same task at a large language model. I don't think that goes away just because large language models get better. I think it is the difference between a junior and a senior employee of, like, if you give these people with the same set of tools a task, a more senior person gets better results. The tools are just changing.
But I wonder if the naive junior can get 80% of the results in 20% of the time.
Yes, completely agreed.
And
but yes,
whether we should be optimizing for that. An idea that I've had since forever is that, so when people are writing code, sometimes people talk about throwaway code, and people talk about they don't want to write throwaway code. Just like anyone, no one wants to do work that's going to instantly go in the trash can. We all want our work to be meaningful.
You have to get to the end of the day, and sometimes you need that thing built knowing that it isn't going to last for too long.
Right. So I've had the philosophy for basically forever that all code is throwaway code. All work is throwaway work, because on a long enough timeline, you're going to redo it anyways. And if you can accept that from the beginning, that it kind of unlocks something. And in specifically writing code in the pre-era, I always had this idea is like, okay, the V1 is just, we're going to throw it away at the end. The best way of doing anything is just get to the V1 as fast as possible with the agreement that the moment you're going to get there, you're going to throw it all away and rewrite it, because you'll learn so much through that process of just getting it done, working out the rough kinks and how should this look and how should this work? How should this feel? Now I have it. Now I actually understand it. Let me go back and implement. I'll implement it again in a quarter of the time and it'll be 10 times better. And then that will be the foundation from scaling from there. I think you're probably supposed to do that with the AI as well. And your junior engineer who doesn't know that they should probably understand how these job workers work and how the scaling works and what is the difference in fan out architectures and monitoring all this stuff. That's probably not the right. I'm not comfortable with that. That's probably not the right way. You should probably vibe code as fast as you can to get something, and then
revisit it.
Revisit it the moment when you need to, because at the same time the AI models are getting better, right? So you're going to come back to it in 6 months because, oh my God, I just saw our bill and it's, $10 billion and whatever. Right. And our revenue numbers are only $6 billion.
Do this again, but more efficient.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing exactly this at work. I made a thing that does machine learning.
Losing billions of dollars.
The machine learning model that I needed to make is doing a good job.
Yeah.
Hooray, Daniel. Oh no, this code base is insane. It's all over the place. Hey, Claude, we've got to start cleaning this up, bud. And then it puts together a plan, and we're going to get rid of these files that were made that were like a bunch of experimentation stuff and shove some things into an archive over here. And oh, I noticed that this function was defined 4 times. Let's just make it the 1 time. Sorry about that. Like, yeah, vibe code your way to minimum viable product. And then whether it be an LLM or real engineers or otherwise, then spend the time to refine. And that's not a new, that's not a new piece of advice. That's existed forever in computer science. Refine what you have. There's nothing wrong with having a version 1 of something. And speaking of version 1s, you've been listening to version 1 of this episode of this podcast. over the next 10 episodes, we're going to go over the exact same. No, I'm kidding. We're not doing that. But, Hunter.
Yo.
We have been listening to, we've been talking about, I guess, they might be self-aware. If other people wanted to iterate on this V1 of their listening experience, where would they get more exposure to us?
Well, they could subscribe wherever they're listening right now. Inevitably, there's a subscribe button if they haven't already tapped it. Of course, we're available on all podcasting platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any podcast directory, or you can even watch us in video form. Although I do warn you to guard your eyes. Guard them.
You can watch us in Hindi, too.
Oh yeah, this is
at least one episode.
At least one episode. You're gonna have to find it. It's coming. So YouTube now is dubbing. We've been selected for their dubbing program. I saw one episode at Hindi, one episode at Spanish, and again, not
I didn't see the Spanish.
Not
one.
captions. Actually dubbed in our sort of voices.
I listened to me speaking Hindi, and boy, that was weird.
But it's all happening, and we will be back very soon. Maybe even later this week with another episode of...
They might be self-aware.